we're finally there. We're finally there. I feel like, within the last 6 months, we've really honed it in. And it's like, it's finally there. I'm very blessed to have the absolute best team I could possibly have in place.
Hello, my fellow Martians. My name is Harry Mars, and this is the On Mars Pod, where we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike. Today, we are joined by Nick Weeber, a professional videographer and owner of Wilson Camera, a full-service film lab in Scottsdale, Arizona.
I was in the hospital for 3 or 4 days. Because, why? Because they couldn't figure it out. The long story short, the day afterwards is when the whole incident happened. And it's not that I want to feel shame from that. I just feel really, really blessed.
Hello, my fellow Martians. Today on Mars, we are joined by a fellow Grand Rapids native, a film enthusiast, and a local business owner that's very successful out here in Phoenix, Arizona. Everyone, welcome Nick Weeber.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Thank you for being here, man.
Heck yeah, for sure, bro.
I do want to get into, just start it off.
Yeah.
We're both from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yes, sir. Born and raised, baby.
Yes, sir. So can we talk about growing up in Michigan and what that was like for you? Like, what was your influences growing up? What did you do as a kid?
Yeah, dude. I was always outside. Okay. And it's funny because it's coming back to me now. It's coming back to bite me in the ass because I never watched movies, bro. I was always outside. I was not like, I never watched movies. I never was like into gaming. So I was always outside. I was always doing stuff with a camera. I was always trying to like film my friends do stuff and do stuff as well. Like biking. I, made trails for my quad in my backyard. I was, and if I ever did play video games, it was with my friend. We would play for 20 minutes and get bored and go right back outside. So I was always outside. I was a lake kid. So I grew up on the lake as well. So always outside, always trying to like, get myself into, I wouldn't say trouble, but like just push the boundaries of like what humans can do and just like figuring everything out in like real life. And nowadays I'm like trying to watch all these movies and everyone's like, oh, have you seen this? And I'm like, no. And they're like, what? You can't seen that? I'm like, yeah, like, cause I was just doing stuff outside in Michigan, like a little Michigan boy. So exactly. Yeah, it was definitely different. I had a great upbringing. My parents are honestly the sole reason for that. They're the most supportive people. I mean, and that kind of like really pushed me into what I do today. And not so much the creative side, but like more so just the business side. My dad's in business, my mom's in business. It's kind of just in the blood. And, us as Weebers, we're definitely trailblazers. We like to be leaders. We like to, it's not that we don't have a problem with authority, but we just don't like being told what to do. So ever since I was a kid, I was always trying to figure something out, do some sort of like business, create something out of nothing. And, it literally all the way from my childhood all the way to out here. It's always just like, what can I do next? And, push more, farther, more and more. So a lot of the influences come from my parents and my upbringing, just being outside and, learning from experience, learning from screwing up and learning from getting hurt and stuff like that too. So a lot of my growing up and everything has just been, learning from experience and just learning from my own failures and successes and stuff like that. So to how I got out here, just COVID. I guess me moving to Arizona was more of like a COVID thing, and COVID hit, moved out here, and that was that. But upbringing in Michigan was flawless. I literally can't say anything else, anything bad about it. I love Michigan. I wish I could go back.
Yeah, man. And to kind of really back to what you were saying about like falling down and like getting back up type deal, but like figuratively and literally, like, because you were into action sports and you were a skateboarder. You were also on the lake where you'd like wakeboarding and stuff like that and all that, like lake sports.
Everything with a board.
Yeah.
Everything with a board, bro. I skated, snowboards, wakeboards, surf,
sure.
everything with a board. I love board sports. Those are my favorite to this day.
I always think this, and I've heard this talked about by a few different skateboarders, how skateboarders are bred differently.
Dude, they are.
And I think just a lot of skateboarders that I know are successful.
Yeah.
And it comes back to like the falling down and getting back up and trying until you get it and applying that principle into life.
Yeah, dude. Action sports and like, I don't want to say individual sports, but like non-team sports, stuff that you wouldn't do at your high school or your school. Like those are the sports where it's like, you really have to learn by yourself and from your own experiences, because you don't have a coach telling you what to do. You don't have like 1,000 other, or you don't have like 20 other people or 10 other people on your team that you can watch and learn from. So everything is kind of like, it comes back onto you. It's like, you fall, oh, that's your fault. Get back up and learn from what you just did wrong. That goes with skating, snowboarding, and then you also have the community side of that as well. So it's not, you're not alone, but just the learning and the progression and the mindset. I mean, even BMX too, like BMX and any extreme sport really, where you're kind of just like, it's your own, you're competing against yourself almost. And that's where I feel like I've always been a competitive person, but I've always feel like I've been more competitive towards myself, even to this day when it comes to my business stuff, anything in life. I always want to get better, and I'm always competing against myself. And I feel like I've taken all of that from skating, snowboarding, and falling, getting back up, and just learning from failures. I feel like that definitely stems from those action sports. And I mean, I have a lot of friends that I could think of just off the top of my head. I'm like, oh my God, they do the same thing too. Or like these successful people were totally into action sports as well, or at one point or in their life or another, people that do team sports, it's just a different mindset. It's not good or bad. It's just different, different way of learning, a different way of, processing your failures and successes. It's cool.
And I like how you say it's kind of like you against you in that sense, where it's like, I think that's a really big part of it is like, because you're your own judge, you're the only one that can make the difference. And it's not like your team lost because of your star player didn't perform. Exactly. It's just like, you're the only star player and you're the only one on the team. So it's like, you have to show up every day if you want to get better.
Absolutely.
And that's something that again can translate into successful people in life, because that, like, if you have that same mindset with life, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna succeed at what you do.
Absolutely. And it kind of goes hand in hand with like social media, comparing yourself to other people and all that stuff too. It's like it's a big topic these days, especially because like the bar is set higher and higher and higher every single day, and like feeling like you need to be these people, you need to live up to that. Like, no, just compete against yourself, get better at what you want to get better at. And then if people like that and people see the genuineness out of it, they'll follow along. They'll see that as well. So it kind of goes hand in hand with that, and I don't know, just kind of, competing against yourself instead of like trying to stay in some like hierarchy or something like that. So, kind of keeping that tunnel vision on your vision and your stuff like that. It's definitely helped me a lot, because, I'll definitely take in a lot of like, heat, or like I'll see something on social, someone's doing something I'm not doing. I'm like, I wish I was doing that. It's instead of like going into that and really feeding into that, I'm really like, okay, so like, all right, what could I do better for my business? And, just stay tunnel vision and not let the outside distractions in. Same thing with, a trick in skateboarding. You want to drop in, like, let's say, let's say you're 14 years old and someone 3 years older than you over there, he's dropping in on the quarter pipe and you're like, I wish I could do that. No. Okay. So what you would do is you'd start with smaller, start stepping your way up, and, but like using those people as like motivation, but not to get down on yourself, and all that mindset and stuff, man, it now thinking about it, I haven't really thought about it, but thinking about it now, it's like, wow, it really does all kind of relate, and just kind of like staying tunnel visioned on your own stuff, but also taking in, advice or learning or stuff like that from other people, and then just kind of doing that and not kind of self-imploding and taking it all on you, because that will hinder you. Comparison is the thief of joy. So, that's a huge point. But yeah, it kind of all stems from that.
Yeah, man. I think that's a great way to put it. It's like looking at yourself last year or yourself 2 years ago.
Exactly.
That should be your what you're comparing yourself
to.
So we kind of talked about action sports and stuff, and that was kind of like an early passion.
For sure.
In school, did you have any other passions like that? Like any creative passions?
Yeah. That's kind of where video started for me. I never did photography.
Okay.
Like I never started with photography. Photography wasn't even like a thing that I even thought about. It was always video.
Just
like
filming your homies.
It was just filming the homies, like making stuff look dope and telling stories of like the dope stuff that we did.
Yeah.
Like I remember like way back when I got my first GoPro, when the GoPros were as big as microwaves, bro.
yeah. GoPro 1.
Yeah, dude, the GoPro 1, bro. Dude, remember the Grand Haven Pier, dude? We used to always jump off that shit. Yeah, dude, I made Grand Haven Pier jumping videos, bro. That was like day one. Like day one. I was 14 before I could even drive.
Were
That
you
was so
doing
much
flips
fun.
off that thing?
Oh, of course, dude.
Dude, that's
I can pull up the
scary,
video.
That's
I can pull up the
scary,
video. We can do
dog.
gainers and stuff,
You'll
bro.
have to get it for post.
Bro, I will pull it.
Yeah,
dude. You know what's funny? It's like back then I made it with Windows Media Player, bro.
Dude, let's
and,
go.
And threw that sepia filter on there, dude.
With the sepia filter, dog.
The sepia
Windows
filter,
XP Home Edition.
100%. And then it was dun 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 dun. That song.
Bro, just making montages.
Dude,
Yo, that's
that was
when
it.
People were doing it just for the love, though.
Yeah,
You know, and that's
exactly.
the fun part.
That's where I started, bro. That was where like my creative juices like first sparked and just got flowing. And I don't know, it was fun, dude. And I went from GoPros to drones and drones to DSLRs and DSLRs to mirrorless. And then it just, kept compounding. And it was always the video stuff.
Yeah.
Always the video stuff. And then that got me into cars. And then cars is a whole nother thing. And then that got me into Mitten Motion. And then Mitten Motion got me into a whole nother thing. And then, that was crazy. But like, I feel like sports got me in, extreme sports got me into video.
Right.
Video got me into cars. Cars got me into, and I feel like I'm still into cars. I'm still into creative. And then it started all kind of just meshing together, which is cool. So, now it's funny to see all the passions and you pick up things and, stuff like that. It's fun to see how like what has stayed with you and what kind of goes away. But yeah, everything from like cars, cameras, extreme sports. I still love it all to this day, which is dope.
Yeah, man. And then going from there, your love of video brought you out to California.
Yeah. Yes.
So you moved out to California. I remember you told me a pretty crazy story about your landlord.
Yeah.
So where were you living in Cali?
Yeah, Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach. Okay.
The long story short, every time I say that, the long story short is I moved out to California after high school. Had like a short-term or long-term Airbnb, short-term apartment rental kind of thing.
Okay.
So like this couple who was a professor, they left for the summer, so I got the place for 3 months. Anyways, moved to California for 3 months. Only had this place for 3 months though, like booked out. Like my parents helped me with the first 3 months, and then they said you're on your own after that. And I said okay. So I decided to stay in California instead of going back to Michigan to go to Compass College, which again, there's a whole nother story there. They just got bought out by Calvin, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So Compass is no longer, anyways. So I was going to go back and I didn't, and I stayed in California. So I needed to find a new place. Stayed with a friend for a month, and then I found this new place. And then once I found that new place, the day afterwards is when the whole incident happened. So I moved into a room for rent inside this elderly couple's house. And then the next day, as I was like going to like literally buy stuff for my new place, I was at my friend's house. We were going to go. As we were walking out of the house, 12 or so unmarked cars with like a siren on them came up and jumped me and my friend, surrounded us with guns and everything, like literally a whole ass operation. And then they saw us, they were like, oh, these are two little 18-year-old kids. So they didn't arrest us, but they did make us just like sit in a curb for like an hour and a half. And then the main detective came by after an hour and a half, pulled me aside and was like, do you know what happened today? And I was like, no. And then anyways, they took like all these crazy forensic like pictures of my hands and swabbed my mouth and like did all sorts of crazy shit, dude. It was weird. But anyways, long story short, he basically told me, he's like, hey, your landlord was murdered today at your front door. And I was like, oh, okay.
The search is on in Orange County for whoever beat a man to death on his front lawn.
Well, he was found on the ground in the 7800 block of Ellis Street in a quiet Huntington Beach neighborhood.
CBS 2 Orange County reporter Michelle Gili is there live. Michelle, you spoke with neighbors?
That's right. And what's so amazing to think about is it happened just this time last night. So just after 5 o'clock, this is how light it was outside. We're on a very, very busy street. I'm told by a neighbor that neighborhood kids were playing out front behind me on the lawn. And just beyond it, a man at his front door was brutally beaten.
Sweet. What now?
Just another day in Huntington Beach, baby.
Yeah. Huntington Beach of all places. Like you'd think like, oh, LA, perfect, fine. That happens all the time. But Huntington Beach is like, that's weird. And like the story goes on and the details behind the murder are ridiculous. And like, if you want to, like, it's a public case. You can search it all. It's all real. I mean, it's wild. But yeah, there was this homeless dude that just literally beat the shit out of my landlord. He was 80 years old, bro.
That is crazy.
Yeah, at my front door. And if I was there, who knows what happened.
Right.
But yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Glad you weren't.
Yeah. But that basically scared me into going back to Michigan, moved back to Michigan and basically started like, I would say another chapter in my life after that, for sure.
You know, it's funny how everything happens for a reason, because
100%.
you went to California to like make it, you know, for
Pretty
lack
much.
of a better term, like
Pretty much.
how I came to Arizona
Yeah.
to try and like do something.
Yeah,
you,
for sure.
You made that move from Michigan to try to make it. And that was like kind of like a reality check, like, yo,
100.
shit is real out here.
Yeah.
So just like that was probably really good for you to happen early on in your life, so that
100%.
way you could see that and be like, okay, maybe I should
Yeah.
kick back and do this in Michigan for a second.
Yeah, for sure. And it really, it humbled me.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the biggest thing, is it really humbled me. It said, you know, the whole scenario basically told me is like, whoa. Slow down, really reevaluate what's actually going on in your life. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
You know, and everything, you know, did really happen for a reason. And I got, you know, just like a video job that I'd never gotten before. It was consistent pay. I was like, whoa, you can do video with consistent pay. You know, I did that for 3 months. It was good. And, you know, then I really dove into the cars, and then the
That
cars.
was in Michigan.
Yeah. And then Mitten Motion happened. Do you know about Mitten Motion? Like what all?
Slightly, but I
Yeah.
know that is your company that you started in
Yeah.
Michigan.
That was like my first ever, like, I guess like company, I guess like Weeber Media, or like my video stuff. Like I had always done that, but it was more like a by project thing, or like people would hire me to do videos of their car. Like Airlift hit me up and I did more of that stuff. And there was pay there, but I did real estate for like that first, you know, half a year when I got back from Michigan, or back from California. I did like real estate and then cars. And then I was like, okay, in California, there was hella car meets and like hella car shows, and the car culture there was just like so rich, and like there were so many people. There was just so many people into cars. And you'd ride down the road and there was 6 modified cars if you drove 15 minutes. I'm like, that was so cool to me. And like, you know, back then, obviously my taste has changed a lot now and everything's changed. But in Michigan, I was like, all right, screw it. I'm going to try and get a bunch of people together for car meets. And it turned in from like 20, maybe, sorry, that's a lot, 10 cars in a Meijer parking lot on 28th Street by the airport.
Nice.
Ish, kind of like that Meijer over there on 28th Street. We had like 10 people in there. And then at the end, like before I left for Arizona, we had thousands of people, thousands.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like I'll pull the videos and stuff, or you can pull the videos, but there were hundreds and thousands of people that showed up to our stuff. It was sick.
Man.
And I was just telling my girlfriend the other night, I was like, it was so cool to have the community support you so hard, to where it's like you made one story post and everyone would show up. Everyone. It was so cool. And it was real life too. It wasn't like you would get 100 likes. It was like 100 people, like 100 people
faces.
showed up, faces showed up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even about the cars, dude. It was about the community. It was about everyone coming together to do something on a Friday night that wasn't drugs or partying or going out. Like it was cool. It was just, I don't know. It was a 2-hour section of like every other or every weekend, where you know, always just get together and you would just post on Instagram. That was it. It was simple, but it was really cool. We tried to monetize. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I made merch, and we actually like threw car shows where we set up vendors and stuff like that. And then I collaborated with a pretty large company that did car shows around the country. And that was a super cool eye opener, because I got to see how it all ran and the business side of it. And I got to actually talk to people at venues, and it felt more official as it went on. But, you know, the car culture changed, and, you know, Mitten Motion slowly kind of just had to phase out. But anyways, it was just a really cool thing for me to build. And, you know, it's still just a really cool name, and everybody knows Mitten Motion. If you're into cars in West Michigan, you know Mitten Motion. It's just a cool thing, because, you know, the Mitten Motion meets were what everybody was looking out for. And the building of that community really just, you know, I loved it. I fed off that. I loved the community. I loved having the ability to, you know, change someone's mood or someone's day by like being able to create a community out of something that everyone's commonly, you know, loves. So, and then I, you know, kind of just did the same thing here with cameras, and it was cool, because I didn't expect it to happen, but it just kind of happened because I was passionate about it. Like, I feel like when I get super passionate about something, super nerdy, I'll go way into it, like so far into it. Like I'll watch every video, I'll learn every fact. Like, and it's cool because like with cars too, it's the same thing. I could name all the JDM cars. I could name all the motors that are in them, just because I was just so nerdy and wanted to learn about them. I watched it all, learned it all, and I was like, all right, let's bring it all together so I can see it in person. And it happened. And then, you know, I came here and I got into film cameras, and then, you know, just being at Wilson Camera inspired me to be into film cameras. Just like, it was just such a crazy pull pull for me to like want to learn it. And then once I learned it, I got super excited about it. And then people saw how excited I got about it. And then they got excited about it. And then it just grew and grew and grew. And this web of excitement and passion just, I don't know. It's super cool to like feed and see all of that happen. And to see it like continue to happen to this day at Wilson is really, really cool. And that's like why I do it.
Yeah. And I brought up Mitten Motion too, because it gave you the experience
for sure
to have the back end business, build that community, know what that feels like, know what goes into it,
for sure,
to be able to have that starting platform when you started Wilson.
Absolutely.
And so we can kind of like start to get to that point, because after living in Michigan, after moving at Cali, you moved back to Michigan, and then you moved out to Arizona because your parents have a vacation home out here. Is that right?
Yeah. So they have a second home in North Scottsdale. It's I mean, that's a whole nother thing, is like coming from, I wouldn't say, would I say, yeah, I mean, I don't know, blessed background. I guess I think
it's an important part to the story.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
It really is actually. And man, it's tough to address because it's like I don't know, different situation. It's pretty uncommon for somebody to have like a really good upbringing, have a really solid family that supports you like 100% and will invest in them and
in entrepreneurial endeavors.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's not normal.
It's not. And I feel so blessed and like lucky. And it's cool because like I've been able to like grow closer to my family, especially, you know, after the whole thing. But like I'll get back to moving to Arizona. But basically my parents had a second home up in North Scottsdale, super nice house. And the girl that I was dating at the time and it was middle of COVID. I guess it was kind of a COVID relationship, I guess you could say. Okay. So it started because of COVID, definitely ended, not because of COVID, but definitely ended because we moved. But we moved during COVID. We moved to Arizona. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I definitely loved not living with my parents, and I loved like the freedom and all that kind of stuff that comes with that. And but basically moved out to Arizona, and then August 1st of 2020 is when I did that. Okay. And then when that relationship, or when we moved here, that relationship just went downhill. Yeah. And then she ended up leaving on Thanksgiving. And then the day that I bought the store was December 1st. So Thanksgiving that year was like the 27th or something like that, or 26th. Anyways, she left. And then 4 days later, I bought the store. So it was like a very weird, like emotional state for me, because I was like literally going through a horrible breakup, but at the same time starting a new relationship with this store. Yeah. So it was weird because as that relationship got worse, I got way more nerdy in cameras, and I got super motivated about the store and very excited and just like, holy smokes, this is going to change my life forever. And I got really excited about it. And then, you know, that girl was not on that train. It was just going downhill the whole time. And then it happened. And then it was just like a boom, immediate mind switch. Like my head went boom. Okay, I got to fucking figure this out. I got to figure this business out. And then, I mean, 3 years later, we're here, but we made a lot of mistakes along the way. But that's kind of how Wilson started. Obviously I got a family loan and was able to buy the business.
Because you were working there first.
I was working there,
yeah. So you were an employee. Mm-hmm. You saw the ins and outs. You were able to see what could be done differently, what could be done better. And this was an opportunity for you because 100%. It was a sinking ship at the time.
It was.
Because of the owners, they didn't want to do it the way that you want. They didn't have the same drive that you did. You know, they were old. They just checked out. They were checked out. They didn't have the same passion, obviously. They didn't see the vision that you saw. Yeah. So it's such a cool place to be in, to be able to be like, hey, I actually have a dad that I can, you know, pitch. Hey, dad, like, what if if you invested, like, I'll run this business. Yeah. And that was like a way for you to bond with your dad over business, which is such a cool thing, which Absolutely. Is like, again, like not very normal, but like very like wholesome, you know, like it's cool. That's a really cool thing that you're able to do that. And it's like, yes, it's one thing that people can say like, oh, you only got that because your dad. Yeah. But it's just like, it's not that you just took from your dad and just had your dad do everything. Yeah. You're paying your dad back on a loan. Yeah. And it's like, it's very different. He was an investor. It wasn't like he's he's giving you money and then also doing everything for the business. You actually had to run the business. You had to put the work in, and
I got a loan and pretty much had to do everything else.
Yeah,
everything else.
You also like moved out of that place. Like you didn't stay at their house.
Correct,
you know, so it's like you used your opportunities to build a platform for yourself to jump off of.
Exactly.
And I think that's the admirable part, where people have to look past your upbringing and like, yeah, cool, if everyone had the same opportunities, but if you had the same opportunities, you might not even have the know-how or the passions to do what I did.
100%. Yeah. And it's tough because, I mean, I always grew up in, I mean, even going to Grand Rapids Christian, where like almost everyone was privileged, but, you know, I was always the kid where it's like, oh, mommy and daddy pay for everything. Mommy and daddy did this. Mommy and daddy did that. And like, I literally, that was like probably my only thing growing up, is like everyone made fun of me because I, you know, and I didn't, and it just looks like that because like I didn't even live a lavish lifestyle. It was pretty basic, but like it was definitely like more privileged than a lot of other kids. And it's not that I want to feel shame from that. I just feel really blessed. And it was, at the time as a kid, it was just weird. But like, even to this day, it's like, oh, like, I feel like, I don't know, I just don't want that stigma of like, oh my God, oh, your dad bought your business. Like you didn't do anything. Your daddy did that. And I'm like, so that does hang over you. It does hang over you for sure. And you know, till the day that loan is paid off, that is going to be a feeling that I have, unfortunately. And it's, you know, it's built into, you know, my DNA to have that. So, it's definitely interesting to live with, but at the same time, like I know what I'm doing. Like I'm putting in the work. Like I am running the business, and I am paying my dad back, and I am on time, and it's, you know, it is ethical. Like everyone gets an investor. Like no one can just come up with a sum of money just like with a click of a finger. So, you know, there was a whole process involved too. Like it's, you know, it's not sunshine and rainbows. It's definitely a whole thing, and
it's business.
100%. It's business at its core for sure. And it was really cool to be able to like directly, when I bought the store, like people were coming in. It wasn't like, you know, and that's another thing. Like, and a lot of people don't know this, but like Wilson Camera has literally been around since 1954. Yeah. 54, bro. That's since insane. The 50s, bro. Like when did the atomic bomb go off?
I don't even know.
In the 50s, right?
I don't know, dude. I'm bad at history.
Yeah, but like the 50, it just doesn't even like it register with me that my brand is 70 years old. Yeah. That's wild to me. It's like wild to even think of. So I mean, there was a little bit of pressure coming in where I was like, oh my God, like I got to take over this. But at the same time, like I feel like what we've done with the brand is really give it homage to what Wilson Camera really used to be. And like, we've been finding, you know, little bits and pieces of what Wilson was. And like, we got this receipt from 1979 and Two Gun Willie was on it, bro.
Yeah.
This logo.
Yeah. I remember you posted it online.
Was on there.
I saw that. That was
Dude,
like, yeah,
it was wild.
Cool, man.
It was very cool to like see that and then hold that paper, the paper from the 70s, bro. Like trash paper, but like it was just wild to hold that. It's so thin, dude. It was wild. But to be able to like rebrand and reignite the whole excitement behind the brand, and then film's a whole thing that comes along with it. But I mean, that's what Wilson always was. Is Wilson was, and I don't know if anybody knows this. I'll say it publicly. It is public knowledge. But Wilson Camera isn't the actual name of the business. It's actually AZ 1 Hour Photo Lab.
Oh wow.
Yeah, deadass. Yeah. So AZ 1 Hour Photo Lab is the name on the corporation. So that's our actual business name. So back in the day, it used to be called AZ 1 Hour Photo Lab. Wow. And then when Misty and Rudy bought, so Wilson Camera was owned by the original owner, Arthur, and then Misty and Rudy, the ones I bought the store from, they had Scottsdale Camera.
Okay.
And they bought Wilson Camera from Arthur, and they made Scottsdale Camera into, they made Scottsdale Camera into Wilson Camera.
Right. The brand.
Yes. Yep. And then I'm not sure where the AZ 1 Hour Photo Lab Inc. came from, but it used to be called Scottsdale Camera, where we are right now. It used to be called Scottsdale Camera. That we used to be owned by Misty and Rudy. And then Arthur came to Wilson Camera and said, hey, I'm selling the brand Wilson. They bought the brand name and they started 8 total locations with Wilson Camera. So there were 8 Wilson Cameras in the Valley.
Damn,
and they,
in the 50s?
No, 50s, 60s and 70s, okay. Around then. The address for the store was on that receipt. Wow. It was really cool. It was like downtown Phoenix. was like
Yeah.
downtown. It was like 7th Street or something like that. It was wild.
Yeah, I like that you guys have incorporated old insignia and old logos and stuff back into the branding, and it still like looks like it was done today.
Exactly.
That's the cool part.
That's
because
the
it's all
dopest thing.
vector and everything's clean and everything's
Yeah. Must have had someone do their someone great do their stuff. And like, dude, Wilson's ads in the paper would still hold up today too. Like we made a hoodie, that hoodie that we made, the ad on the back is a real ad from 1985.
The blue one?
Yes, the blue one. That's a real Wilson camera ad in a newspaper from 1985.
That's sweet. Did you just scan it in?
We actually stumbled upon it online. We actually paid $3 to go see this old newspaper. It was like you had to pay like $3 from this archive place, and like they pulled out this news article ad because we were
physical.
Physical. We were trying to find this logo, and in trying to find that logo, we found that newspaper ad, and we were like, "Oh my god, let's just put it on a hoodie." So we just took the whole thing off and then threw it on the hoodie. So like it's funny because like we haven't had many like original designs. Like the Wilson camera circle, that's an original design. The little film canister guy that runs, that's original design, but everything else is all old branding.
Yeah.
Super cool. Even the font type is still the old branding font type. Our website, all that font type, that's all still old branding.
Yeah.
So we like that.
Cooper Black. Like yeah.
100. This W was literally on a banner that we had that was given to me by Misty and Rudy.
Oh, really?
The banner says like Wilson camera, huge 2-gun Willie, huge.
Yeah.
Ritter actually used the banner to yank the 2-gun Willie off and the color scheme from that banner and put it on that t-shirt that we have.
Oh, okay.
So like all that stuff, like we literally just went super hard into the old branding and like did all the merch out of that. So yeah, everything has come from that. So this W is from that, everything is from that. But the banner that I had literally says Wilson camera locations valley wide underneath it. And that was when
it had 8 stores.
When they had 8 stores. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, that's so sick. I mean, to bring it up to the point where it's at now is insane. I mean, we've talked about this before, and I think this is public. You were planning on going to LA and like doing like a second store.
We were totally like, we had a spot. We were talking to the landlord. We were gonna sign a lease. Like that was gonna happen.
So what's the move now? Like, are you guys still thinking of expansion? Or are you just thinking of kind of more like honing in the valley? What's the deal?
For sure. So expansion's, I mean, it's not a tough subject, but it's definitely scary. It's scary for me because it's like, I don't know if it's going to work. And it's like, it's one of those risks that it's like, I have to take it. I want to take it. I have to take it. But obviously it's really scary. LA kind of scared the shit out of me. Like it scared the shit out of me. And that's why I pulled the plug, because I was so scared that it wasn't going to work. I mean, we literally, it was also expensive. There was a lot of factors, but ultimately I was scared and I pulled out. But the LA was going to happen. And then I was like, okay, I don't have the time, money, or resources. Phoenix isn't where I want it to be. Like the Scottsdale store isn't where I want it to be. And, ultimately just pulled the plug on it because I wasn't, fully ready for that. And I mean, I have to applaud myself for that because like that would have been a shit show. That would have been a shit show.
Especially living out here.
Exactly, bro. Yeah. Living out there and trying to like commute there, have a whole nother team there, a whole nother location in an entirely different state right off the bat within a year or two. Yeah. No, I can't do that. Tough. So, I mean, I've definitely kind of dialed it back and really honed in on making the Scottsdale store perfect. And like, not even till like, kind of like a couple months ago where I really think that Scottsdale is finally like where it needs to be. Just in like our scheduling, our employees, our inventory, our organization in the back, the foolproofness of the lab, like the no mistakes, like stuff like that. So we're finally there. I feel like, within the last 6 months, we've really honed it in and it's like, it's finally there. So now we are seriously looking for spaces in downtown Phoenix. We're going to do another location downtown Phoenix. That's like 99.99% sure at this point. We're in talks with a couple different landlords for some situations. So there's something, 3rd Street and then also 7th Ave in Central Phoenix. There's a couple locations that we're looking for. But once that's done, once we can find a spot, I've been collecting a lot of equipment and stuff that I know would be literally transferred right into a second store. So I have almost everything, I would say, to just start a second store. So when we sign a lease, there's a chance we'd be able to open our doors within 30 days.
Yeah.
So we're aiming for like probably Q4.
It's exciting.
Q4. We're possibly looking to open, launch, announce, do all that kind of stuff. So,
dude, that's super exciting.
Yeah,
man.
we have a couple. Like we have literally 2 in mind. One of them is in lingo, and then one of them is just a little expensive. So we're trying to work out a deal, but we'll see. We'll see how that works. But yeah, hopefully that's coming up. That'll be fun.
So running a successful business like Wilson and managing employees, having to deal with scheduling, inventory, all of this stuff. This is something that you're a pretty young guy, you know, do you feel a lot of pressure having all of that on your plate?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And the hard answer is yes. It's a lot, dude. It's a shit ton. I mean, even just the thought of having 8 people that you have to put food on the table for, like it's a crazy concept to be able to first to be responsible for it, and then second to actually be able to do it, to be responsible for 8 people's well-being and to be able to actually do it. It's scary, but it's so rewarding at the same time. And like I will say, I'm very blessed to have the absolute best team I could possibly have in place. And I guess learning from my mistakes at the beginning, I tried to do everything myself, and then just kind of like learning as I go. You know, you actually do need to hire people to do some of the tasks and take over some of the parts of these things. And like, it's fun to see how people kind of like fall into their own spots, into the spots where they need to be. Like Rob being the manager and being able to submit payroll to my dad without having to, do all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, all that stuff is super hard.
Yeah, man. So being so young and having all that pressure, I feel like that's, like you said, it's kind of like a gift and a curse because of the fact that you're learning it now and also able to apply it now. Sure. I think is a real blessing too, because it's like, it's not like you're learning these things and they're going over your head or you're just having to tuck them away for later. It's like, these are real things that you can apply right now, and you actually have to keep this business rolling. So it's like, if you don't figure it out, your business is going to fail. Yeah, so it's kind of like, it's good pressure, but I'm sure, it's one of those things that's, it's bittersweet, I'm sure, to have that. For sure.
It's definitely, it's definitely a lot of pressure to like, feel like you have to perform and all that stuff. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, like the answer to everything, my dad taught me this from day one. What's the answer to everything? Sales. Sales, revenue coming in. If money's coming in, there's no problems. There's no problems. So as long as you're able to make sales and that's the most fun part and fulfilling part of the business is like making the sales and like getting somebody excited and like seeing, the most fulfilling part of Wilson Camera for me is to be able to get somebody excited and also make money off of it.
Yeah.
As the business owner is to provide the service, to feel like the customer is actually getting the value, and then and it's reciprocated. Like you receive the money from the value that they give you. That is the most rewarding part. It's like, you don't feel like a bad businessman because you feel like you're take. You feel like you're also giving just as much. Yeah. If you're giving just as much as you're taking, or giving more and more and more, and I feel like I've been able to just give more and more, and have the little bit of flexibility with the money, that's a huge deal. And like it never losing course of the why, you'll be okay. If you never stray away from the sole reason that you got into it in the first place, you'll never have to worry about it. For me, I've always just been so passionate about cameras, gear, creativity, all that stuff. I feel like I could sell a camera to somebody in 40 years just as well as I can now. Like I feel like I'll never lose that passion behind cameras. Ever since I was 15, I've been wanting to screw around with cameras and figure out how they work and, what stories I can tell with them. And, going from the absolute most technical of the gear side into the actual production of of the creativity, and then actually seeing the product as well. That's why I feel like film is so cool too, because everyone gets their own experience with that and being able to put people onto it, because everyone starts in a different spot with film. Yeah. That's my favorite part, man. Oh my God. I still like tell people like, oh, my story was like, I walked in there and one of the associates was just so pumped on showing me stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just oh, I was in heaven. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know this existed. Like film, is that cool? Like I can get film results like that. Like I don't have to edit and like do all this stuff. And man, it was just so cool. And to be able to like copy and paste that feeling into my store, that's like my whole goal forever and ever and ever. I want somebody to come in and not know that this existed and then just like absolutely blow their minds about like this just such beautiful art. I just think film is just, I don't know what it is. I'm such a mega film nerd. I just love it so much. And I want to be able to put everyone on and to be able to make it accessible, make it fun. And like, I don't know, I'll never lose that passion personally. I think I'll always be into that. I think it's the most cool shit. I mean, it doesn't even need to be film. Like with cars, I was able to share my passion with cars too. It was, and I never lost the why. And that's why people really thought it was all genuine. And like, that's why Wilson is succeeding and growing, is because it's just a web. When you get one person excited, like for example, I got excited about film from, Daniel Collins showing me all the film stuff. And, I still chalk up like my passion in film to my friend Daniel Collins. Who you have working for you is a huge deal. Like, and I feel like I want to put people in places that they can grow. And I feel like I always try to take feedback from people. And something that I saw and that Daniel explained to me is like, he tried to grow this business and he tried so hard to like give his input and say like, yo, we should be doing this. And like, that would get us better and better and better. And like, he told me his story with the whole thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm never, ever, ever going to listen to one of my employees and say, no, that's not valid.
Yeah.
Like, no, like I would, there's no right and wrong. And then there's efficient ways and non-efficient ways to do things. But if you I'm always going to listen to you. I'm always going to listen to your input, listen to your ideas, because like, I don't know, I feel like everyone has the ability to give somebody that experience. And if there's going to be a way that we can do that better, I want to listen to it. I want to hear that. Whereas like, that place that Daniel worked at just shut him down, suppressed him, like didn't let him do anything. Like he pulled in so much revenue for that store and they didn't appreciate one single bit of it. Yeah. They didn't let him, he wanted to do this whole like mobile delivery thing. He wanted to do this like pickup thing. He wanted to go around to people's houses and pick up their film and bring it back to the lab because there were, people and whatever. He really wanted to do that. He had the passion for it and they didn't listen to him. So I will always listen to my employees. If they have anything to do, or like if they have any suggestions, any new things that we should do, like I will always listen and I will always be there to listen for that. Like if somebody needs something that's going to make their job easier and make their job better, I'm going to do it. I will invest in that because I will invest in my team, because my team will invest in my customers and my customers will invest in us. Yeah. So it's all going to be back around. It's like saying no to things and no to people. Man, I don't like doing that. I don't like doing that.
I think it's a really mature like mindset to have as a business owner, especially being so young. It could probably be easy for you to just say, no, I'm the guy, you listen to me, guys. Yeah. That type of ego mindset versus like the team, like the team building together. Like, hey, I'll take your idea. We can work it out together. If it doesn't work, then we can both see, hey, that didn't work. Cool. And then we can move forward and what's the next idea versus like shutting it down altogether, not even giving it a chance, because then that brings the morale of your employees down,
for sure,
which will then bring down their service level, which will bring down, it's just like a domino effect. So it's having that mindset from the beginning at this age that you're at. I think that's just, that obviously like goes back to like that, the upbringing you kind of have, because it's like, I'm sure your dad has like shown you these, like you've seen your dad kind of in similar situations or like these things in like business, like you're not letting this personal ego run the business. You're letting your business mind run the business. And I think that's like super important, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, I love to like make relationships and to get people excited and do all that stuff. And if I can make my employees excited and do all that stuff, they're going to want to work. I mean, it's crazy, bro. Like ever since I started the store, there's a line of people wanting to work for me. It's weird, bro. Like, and especially in COVID too, it was so funny. Cause like people like, sorry, not funny, but a lot of businesses could not find employees. Like nobody could find employees. Like it was tough to find workers. And literally I would get resumes in my email, like 3 or 4 a week. And people in the store asking like, are you guys hiring? Are you guys hiring? Like still to this day, are you guys hiring? Are you guys hiring? All the time, all the time, because the vibe in the shop, like it's
the culture
you feel
that
it.
you cultivated.
You feel it. Yeah,
sure.
you can feel it. And to be able to create a feeling, to create an energy, to create a vibe, that will in turn create sales and create revenue. And, and that will answer all your questions and or answer all your problems.
Yeah, 100%, man. And we've been talking a lot about business, but kind of going into the next thing I want to address is balancing, because you are very busy, and at one point you were spending hours and hours and hours, like spending shifts, countless hours, like coming home, sleep for 5 hours
and go right
back to the lab type deal.
Yeah, dude.
Can you like speak on like how you manage that? Like how you balance?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I definitely was horrible at it first. And my girlfriend will tell me this from the day one. Like I lived at Wilson, like basically lived there. It was live, eat, sleep, breathe, Wilson. And I think what I don't want to say like I did this wrong, but it's just like golf. When you go to the driving range, the goal is not to hit 150 balls. The goal is to hit 20 absolutely solid balls, and then you're done. You're good. What I did is I hit 1,000 balls.
Yeah,
I hit 1,000 of them. And my swing kept getting sloppier and sloppier and sloppier as I did it. I wouldn't say like that happened directly, but I definitely like burned myself out. Like I worked there so hard that, my organization just fell off. I couldn't keep myself organized. I felt so busy because I was so busy because I was making myself so busy, and I cluttered my own life. Not only till I slowed down was I able to look back and say, okay, these are the things I need to change. I definitely have to give a lot of credit to my girlfriend for kind of just like literally giving me a work-life balance. Work-life balance is hard, dude. It's hard, especially when I was so like in it, like as an employee. I felt like I was an employee there. I was, I had to scan film every day. I had to sell things every day. Like I was there. I was an employee there. And not only till I stepped back and actually started to run the business did I really like kind of see a lot of the things that fell through the cracks. So I allotted, I actually have a manager and somebody that I pay really good money to like kind of run those day-to-day things. So my mind doesn't have to keep continuously thinking about those things. Honestly, the balance of it all, I feel like has to come from allocating those small tasks and those tedious tasks to parts of the team. So you don't have to do all of it. And then once I was able to kind of like create a schedule of like, okay, I'm going to come in a little bit later. You guys do your stuff in the morning. Like I was able to kind of like fall into a little bit of like kind of like a schedule, slow myself down, take days off, bro. First 2 years, not a single day, not a single day, bro. I would go to Michigan, bro, and I would go for 3 days. I'd get stressed, bro. Yeah. I would have to come home immediately because I felt like something was going wrong. Like those first 2 years, bro, I was in it every day, every single day. And once I met my girlfriend, I really kind of like found out what was really important to me. Obviously the business is number one in my life personally. And then, having a significant other now is like, okay, my priorities have changed in my life. Like I want a house and a family and kids someday. Like that's what I want. I want the whole life. But, the business is also going to help me get there. And like the craziest thing is once I started slowing down and going there, everything started like going up and like, sales rose and productivity rose and organization rose and everything just got better. It was cool because, once I gave myself kind of a second to breathe, again, like I said, I was more focused. And it's like, again, right back to that golf swing thing. Don't try to hit 150 balls and like try and get your swing down after 150 balls. Hit one ball, figure out what was wrong, hit another one, figure out what was wrong. Just, go through the motions slowly and give yourself that balance. I was not great at it at first. And if I had to give any advice out to a new business owner, man, definitely give yourself a work-life balance, even from the start. Like I wish I hired one additional employee, took the sales cut, or not took the sales cut, but I wish I took the money, paid an extra employee, and gave myself sanity. I didn't do that. I was insane, from the start. One of the things that my dad said is, employees, very simple. Are you going to do it, or are you going to pay someone else to do it? So with employee, that's why employees are good, and they're a double-edged sword, because, sometimes employees can get expensive for real. Like if you have, a worker working 80 plus hours, you legally have to pay them overtime. There's stuff like that too. So you can't like overwork employees. So what I wish I did from the beginning was hire one additional employee, take that workload off myself, give myself some sanity, and look back on some of those things that I wish I wish I didn't miss at the beginning. Yeah. So yeah, that work-life balance is hard, super hard. And I have to a lot of that credit to being able to successfully do that now, to, having my girlfriend and a significant other, and like, bro, it was so weird. Cause like I wouldn't say I starved myself, but I was so busy. I literally like forgot to eat, bro.
Yeah.
Like I forgot to eat. I was like, eating at like 2:00. I'd be like, yeah, eating. Fuck that. Like I'll eat later. Don't worry about it. And then just like, boom, 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 boom. And then I would like eat a Chipotle at 9 p.m. at night. I'm like, okay, that was the only thing I ate all day. That's probably not healthy.
No.
And then my girlfriend's like, Nick, you can't do that. You have to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. And like, just like stupid things like that. It's like, you're right. You probably should eat a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you probably should allot those times, and you probably should have some sanity in there too. So, but yeah, it's been a journey, and I'm not perfect whatsoever, but I want to continue to experiment with that work-life balance. Like give a little bit more to life, give a little bit more to work, just kind of build it all up, to refine it, make it nice and tidy and all that. But yeah, I feel like that's where I'm at right now. And I kind of got the system going. Now it's like, okay, let's keep it going and then grow it, scale it, bring it to, make a dynasty of film labs across the country. That's where my mind's at. Yeah, that's where I'm at. But yeah, it's fun, dude, to grow that, and the life part of the work-life balance is just, I don't know, I'm so much happier.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's funny how you say like you have to like step back to step forward. Yeah, you know, do. And it's kind of like a weird catch-22 thing in your head where it's just like, but if I step back, then I'm gonna like, but what if?
Then I'm gonna fail. Yeah.
It's like almost the anxiety of like, what if, like living in the future versus like living in the present, and like, oh, well, did I eat breakfast? Like not thinking of that before, like, oh shoot, the store's on fire. Like that type of like immediately. So I think that's something that, again, like he said, anybody that's watching this that is a business owner, take it from someone who's running a successful business and has gone through that whole roller coaster of emotions when it comes to running a business, where you have to take that time. And it's just something that if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be mentally in a good place to deal with employees. You're not going to be in a mentally good place to run the business at a high level, have good customer service and all these things that kind of come back to you being the best version of yourself. Yeah. So if you don't have that in check first, then the rest, everything's like a domino effect, like we were saying earlier. It's just a bad domino effect. Yeah. So kind of playing into your day-to-day, do you have a routine? Are you a routine-based person now, or do you find yourself, because of your girl, getting into more routines and kind of having that?
Yeah, the routine thing, I've always been really bad with routine and structure. Like that's just like my brain has not, everyone's like, oh, my brain's not wired like that. I mean, you can rewire your brain if you can do that. Absolutely. You can do that, but off the factory floor, my brain was not the most organized. I'm just saying I'm not. And I'll admit that, but I'm getting better. So the day-to-day these days, if you asked me 2 years ago, I would say, what's that? Yeah. But these days I feel like I do have a little bit more of like a routine, more of like a rhythm. So like, I get up around the same time-ish every morning. I do eat breakfast almost every day. I have lunch, I have dinner, like stuff like that. But routine wise, it's mostly wake up, and I really enjoy my mornings with my lady. Like my lady and I love our mornings. We go to bed pretty early. I like going to bed pretty early. I don't feel like I feel like a lot of my, now I'd say depression, but like a lot of my sadness when I lived in Michigan was me staying up way too late and overthinking a lot. A lot. Like in the morning, I feel like it's like a fresh thing. It's like, okay, now I have a blank slate. Whereas at night, I feel like I have to compress everything from my day into like all these thoughts in like these 2 hour span from like 8 to 10 p.m. and then fall asleep. Whereas I'll go to sleep at 9 or 10 p.m. and wake up at 5, 6, 7 and have like a good buffer in the day to start, get the vibe going, and then continue on with the day. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely like a relax, eat, get ready for the day, and then go to work and just like absolutely hammer out like the most, and having lists. Oh my God. Lists have changed my life, dude. Just like things that I know on paper that I have to do.
Yeah.
Those things are huge. Cause like, I'm thinking about a million things at a time. I think about one thing and then 10 seconds later, boop, gone out of my brain. That's just how my ADHD is. So having things written down, it's always helped too. But like wake up, do your shit, come home, eat, have fun, go to bed. That's pretty much it. But at the same time, like everything is that is another thing about being a business owner is you do have a little bit of flexibility. And like at the point where I'm at now, I do have a lot of flexibility where I can really mold and change that. Like I can leave the shop at 12:50 and come do a podcast for an hour and go back, or, go to my lady and we can go up and have a pool day and then come back down, and I'll still probably have a great day at the lab because I set the guys up earlier today for success. And I got some cameras out that I think are going to sell. It's like, it's definitely fallen in. It feels good. Like I wouldn't say it's like a structured routine from like 10 to 6. I do this, but like I definitely have a vibe, like a routine, a rhythm, not a routine, but a rhythm.
Baseline.
Definitely a rhythm.
Yeah. And it's almost like, I think of, do you know, obviously, Rob Dyrdek.
You love Rob.
So Rob Dyrdek is like one of my top inspirational dudes that I've been, watching for a long time now.
Yeah.
Even when I was a kid,
I haven't kept up on him, but
inspired.
like, dude, I was definitely a Dyrdek fan from like day one for sure.
So Rob Dyrdek has a system that, I don't know if you know this, but he basically has like a scheduled system every single day. Damn. And it's very time-based schedule. Mm-hmm. So basically he's figured out that 1 hour of your day equals roughly 4% of your time. So basically the way that he organizes his time is based off of that number. So it's just like if he has 100% of a day and you need to sleep for 8 hours, that's 32% of your day. If you need to work for 8 hours, that's another 32% of your day. So together, that's 64%. And then all those other times that are available to you, you can start putting things in. So for instance, that first structure that he has that's every day, it's what he calls the need to do's. Like you need to get up, you need to brain train, you need to do this, you need to work out, you need to message your wife or whatever. Like he has a certain thing that every single day he does the same thing in the morning. And then throughout the day, his schedule is based off of like a time block schedule. So it's like ridiculousness. He times exactly how long he shoots it. So he knows exactly how many episodes he can get in a day. So like everything is very time-based and it's like a structured system. So that way he always gets the need to do's out of the way. So kind of like you're saying with like the flexibility, when you have all the things taken care of that need to be taken care of, you have the flexibility to do the want to do's as he puts them. So it's kind of like having that structure as a baseline, whereas like, this is what I need to do today. You get all that done, the want to do's, then you can really spend that time intentionally in that place. Because the thing is with anxiety and depression, it's like anxiety is living in the future, depression living in the past, versus like being in the now and enjoying what you're doing now and being intentional about your time. So it's kind of like if you need to go to work, but like you found yourself like playing video games, then you feel bad about yourself for playing video games so you can enjoy the video games, and then also you feel bad about missing the work. So it's like you're losing twice.
Yeah, that's bad.
So it's kind of like being intentional with the time, where it's just like, okay, I need to take care of this. You take care of the task, and then once you take care of your task and you have some extra time and you need to unwind, play some video games. If that's something that you want to do. And you have done everything else that you need to do. So I think that kind of goes back to that, like that flexibility. And anybody, even if they're not a business owner, if you have a job, if you have an 8-hour job, it's kind of just like how I broke down. It's like if you sleep for 8 hours, which most people don't sleep for 8 hours. It's like if you sleep for 8 hours and you work for 8 hours, that's 16 hours of your day, which is 64%. So what are you doing with the other 36% of your time?
For sure.
And that's like when people say, oh, I don't have time. Well, obviously your management skills are not there if you do have a lot of time to like be on your phone and that, 8% of your day, 2 hours scrolling.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a lot. That's a lot of time out of 36, So it's like now you're down to whatever. So
now
it's
you're
just
down
like
to 28% just from there.
Exactly. So it's like having that like mindset of like, the structure of time-based schedules, just like having this stuff. And so like, you're never really running out of time. It's like, if you know what time you're going to go to bed every night, you can put that in your schedule. So it's just like, you know, when you're going to go to bed, you know, when you're going to wake up. So that's your block. What's that percentage? And it's just like, yeah. So
that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. I'm definitely, especially with the percentages, I always take percentages as like I'm a super visual. So like percentages to me, like in my brain, this is how it goes. Percentages, I take a big block in my brain, just a block.
Yeah.
And that's 100%.
Right.
And then I'll split it up. You said 36%, and then you said another, 68%. Boom. I know exactly how much in my brain. Okay, so now that's how much. It's actually not that much.
Yeah.
It's not that much. So you really have to put that in. But now I'll think about that. Just like that. You have your 8 hours. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that little
Shout out
time.
Rob Dyrdek.
Yeah, little time blocks. Yeah, and that's cool. That's easy to visualize too. I like that. That's really cool. Yeah, thanks, Rob. Shout out Rob.
Yeah, shout out Build with Rob, man.
Dude,
His podcast.
I want to meet Rob Dyrdek so bad.
Yeah, I feel like it's not a far-fetched thing, you know?
No,
I feel like that's definitely someone that we're probably one person away from.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. It's like there's somebody that knows something that knows him, like that we know. So
Yeah.
it'd be cool. And I feel like that's what I want to do with the rest of my time as a business owner, is just learn from these people that have done these crazy things. And like, I feel like I've learned a ton from my dad, but there's only so much I can learn from my dad because he's just in a different industry.
Yeah.
So I want to learn from these different people that are in different industries and figure out what would help me and apply, and how should I apply that to my business and stuff like that. So, and I'm always, I don't know what type of brain this is, but it's the type of brain that just like always wants to know how things work.
Yeah.
Like how things work. How did you do that? Like what did you do? What were the steps that you take?
Yeah.
Like what's the thing? Not like get me there. How did you get there?
Right.
Not take me with you there. How did you do it?
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So I feel like I'll always want to learn that. I'll always want to keep moving forward. And like, dude, I'm so young. I feel like I don't know shit still, which is crazy. I feel like I have a lot to learn. So, I can definitely give my input and my experience, but I definitely feel like I am still a sponge and I want to just soak all that knowledge up.
That's to be honest, great business owners never like know everything.
No.
And and that's the thing. It's like, if you're constantly growing, if you're constantly learning, you're constantly evolving, you'll never go backwards.
Yeah.
So I think having that mindset, even at the place where you're at now, being so successful at such a young age, like I don't think you'll ever feel that downturn.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful place to be in, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Like
it's a great spot.
like a great mindset to have, to be in that position, because you could have a different mindset, which could send you in a bad place, in a bad direction.
And
so.
I'm human. Those thoughts do come into my brain, of course. Like, of course I have what if film goes extinct tomorrow? Like those thoughts, and like what would happen if this is, those thoughts do, you have to have those thoughts. Otherwise you're not going to stay on your toes.
Yeah.
But when those thoughts come as a huge giant cloud over top of you, you can't let that happen.
Yeah.
You just can't. And when that does, that's just like self-sabotage. So, I feel like I've been, decent at like not self-sabotaging myself and being like, woe is me, and like getting down on myself and all that. And like, I feel like it's just keep pushing forward.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
Like keep pushing forward, keep moving forward. There's just no reason to dwell on BS. There really isn't. Like, even like, dude, not a lot of people can relate to this because I feel like only retail small business owners feel this, but reviews, bro.
Oh, yeah, Google reviews and like online.
That shit hits home.
Oh man, it's like reading bad comments on YouTube or something.
Home, bro. That shit hits home. Dude, it's hard. Like those, dude, reviews have sent me into like some of the worst places. I'm serious. Yeah. And if you review small businesses and you call people out, they will feel it.
Yeah.
Dude, like I've been called out personally. Like my dog has been called out in reviews. Yeah. That shit hurts really bad. Like I've been called some pretty shitty names and like been told my business is this, and that. And you just can't listen to them because it's not, obviously. It's not that. I know it's not. Everyone else that comes and spends money with me knows it's not. So, reviews are hard.
Yeah.
Like it fucking hits the soul to even think about them. Sometimes.
Yeah, and it's tough because with reviews too, a lot of people, like 9 times out of 10, if they had a good experience, they're not going to write a review. They're only going to write a review if they had a bad experience. So that's just, I worked for the airline, so I know exactly what that is. It's like when they complain, it's like they're always complaining, or they're always calling in to complain. They're never calling in to like, praise, rarely. Like one time maybe has that ever happened, so
Dude,
there's always an issue. But
that goes into another thing too, is like people will take one bad thing and they'll make an entire planet of excuses and things and bad stuff to take just from that one thing. But one good thing will happen and it just, fizzles away in 2 seconds. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
People dwell on the bad stuff. Like it's even the news, bro. Like, how do you watch the news and have a good day after that? No, seriously, how do you watch the news and have a good day after watching the news?
Tough. Yeah.
Dude, it's hard.
Yeah.
This world is
Yeah.
crazy, bro. Crazy.
Guys.
But people only, not only, but a lot of people really, really like highlight the bad things.
Yeah.
And I want to be someone that really highlights the good stuff. That's why I try to be more like a positive person. I don't really try to like spread negative energy like that. I'm just not like that. I have my own opinions and I'll get mad about certain things or whatever, but I'm always trying to like spread the positivity and the good vibes. And
You're still human, man.
Still human, dude, for sure. But yeah, bro.
No, it's just been amazing, man. There's one last thing I want to get into. So a while ago, you went to the hospital for chemical burns from Developer.
Wild. That was wild.
How did that happen, bro?
Dude, it was it's a funny story. My friends and I were actually just coming back from a little road trip. It was technically my longest time away from the store at the time. And we got back, and of course, like 3 days into my trip, the processor goes down. And I'm like, oh, sick. I'll never leave this place again. That's just in my head. I'm like that. So I get back, and the first thing I do before I even come home, bro, is I go in on that processor trying to figure it out. Cause like if something bad happens, I'm going to figure it out. I will figure it out. And I am persistent. And I figured it out ultimately, but with some consequences.
So what did you do?
So I pulled one of the racks out of the machine, and the rack had Developer all over it. And, I've seen Brandon, the guy that used to work for me doing all the chemical stuff. I've seen Brandon literally stick his hand in the tank and pull out. So I thought it was all fine. I thought the chemicals were whatever.
Yeah.
So I pulled the rack out, and I had shorts on at the time, and I had to like screw something off of it. So I like clamped it in my legs. So all the chemistry. The rack is like this tall.
Yeah,
the rack's like probably 2.5 feet tall.
Right.
And I had to screw something off the top. So I like used my legs to like brace it.
Yeah.
And like little did I know, all the chemistry got all over my legs. Next day I woke up, I was just like itching. And then just like the red just basically felt like my skin was boiling. That's how it felt.
So it wasn't necessarily that like you got it on you, it's that you didn't get it off of you fast enough.
I didn't even know. I didn't know. Yeah.
Right. Because like if you would have quick like jumped into the shower or something right after it happened, you probably wouldn't have got burned like that. But because it was sitting on your skin for so long,
I think it like really got in there.
Yeah,
like, it really got in there.
Because your skin is like a sponge.
It is.
Even though it's like a surface, it's porous.
It is.
So it's going into your body, even though it's just on your skin.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And it's just like, that's so interesting, man. Like you didn't even have necessarily like an allergic reaction. It's just the fact that it was on your skin for so long.
It was a slow process.
Dude.
And it hurt.
You were in the hospital for days.
Like 3 or 4 days. I was in the hospital for 3 or 4 days. Because, you know why? Because they couldn't figure it out.
What do you mean?
They couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure it out. Like they were like, oh, is this, is this bed bugs? Is this like, what is this? Like,
so
this
you
is just
didn't
some
know
weird. No, nobody knew.
We didn't know either.
Like technically, we don't actually know, it was that. It was definitely that.
For sure.
Because like, bro, one drop gets on me, I have to wash that off immediately. I'll still get like bumps from that shit, like just crazy shit. I think my skin is just like allergic to some weird stuff and very sensitive. But dude, that was some of the worst pain I felt in my life. Like I personally think the worst pain on a human being is like in your mouth, like any mouth pain.
Yeah.
Mouth pain is excruciating. Wisdom teeth, crowns, all that stuff. Mouth pain is horrible. And then skin for me is the other most painful thing for me. It's like, dude, and that was wild. I mean, you can insert pictures, but like I had blisters the size of like this big on my foot. Jesus. And I didn't bop them because I literally thought like water was just going to start spewing out of my foot. And bro, I couldn't. So like, imagine like my feet are like this. I couldn't let my feet go below parallel because the blood would rush to my foot and feel like it was going to explode.
Oh my!
It was literally like, it was so bad. I mean, you can ask Casey, because Casey was here some of the days. I was whining and crying, bro. I was in so much pain. So much pain. I was just in my bed, like, what is going on? What is happening to me? And I was itching and like trying to do all these creams and showering, and nothing worked. Nothing worked. There was no remedy whatsoever. I just had to wait. And then I had this really weird, I don't know if you ever saw this, but I had this really weird scar from it. It looked like a sailboat. Like, it literally looked like a sailboat. It was creepy, bro. It was creepy. It was in the exact shape of a sailboat.
That is weird.
It was like, I'll send you a picture,
You
bro.
should get a tattoo of it.
Yeah.
To commemorate that moment.
Sheesh. That was scary, but it was wild, dude. I mean,
damn.
So yeah, if you're ever messing with photochemicals, wear gloves. Dude, oh, and it's funny. I have these, I have 18-inch long gloves.
Oh, hell yeah.
So if I ever have to do it, and it's only me too.
Yeah.
Because I have to be allergic to it at some point, because everyone else will mess with all the chemistry, and they'll get like a drop or two on them. They wash it off. They're fine. But if I get a drop or two on me, even if I wash it off right away, I'll still probably get something. Damn. Like, to this day, it's wild. So I have these 18-inch long gloves that are like intense, like for hazmat suits.
For sure.
Yeah, it's wild. But
yeah,
I
mean, film chemistry is serious, guys.
For sure.
It's not a joke,
No,
especially when
sir.
you're on an industrial level.
Absolutely.
Because like I had like
Gallons,
the Cinestill, like, like the Cinestill, like the at-home kits,
Yeah,
and
those are
even that,
good bottles, yeah.
if you get that shit on your skin, like you could still get chemical burns. But it's
sure.
like when you have the industrial level concentrate like that.
That's what it was. That's literally what it was.
Yeah.
It was a concentrated version of it, and
Yeah.
it was just on the racks, and it got all over me. But
No,
yeah,
man.
chemistry's no joke. Definitely learn what you're allergic to when you're young too. That's another thing. But yeah.
But hey, man, no, this has been a wonderful interview, man. Thank
Thanks
you so
for
much
having
for
me on,
doing
dude.
this, man.
Yeah.
Everybody, Martians, go follow Nick online at Nick Weeber, or at Weeber Media, rather. Sorry.
Wilson.camera though. Like, I personally don't need the love. Go to the brands.
Shout out
support
Wilson
the brand
Camera.
for sure.
Wilson.camera on Instagram, wilsoncamera.com.
Yes, sir.
If you are local in Scottsdale, go check them out. They're in North Scottsdale, right
If
off
you're
of
not
Miller.
local, you can also still send me your film, or buy cameras or film from me. So just website is where it's all at.
So it's all online.
It's all online.
Online is working. Everything's good.
Yeah, everything's up.
Yes, man. So
Yeah, it's fun.
hit them up. Thank you again for doing this,
Of course,
man.
bro.
My dog.
Appreciate you, bro. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me on.
Follow me online at On Mars Pod. Love you guys. See you next time.
Oh yeah. Peace.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of the On Mars Pod, and for sticking around to the end, man. I really appreciate you guys. You are the real Martians. Like this video, comment below what your favorite part was, what was most inspiring to you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications here on future interviews coming out soon, and also follow us on Instagram at On Mars Pod. Love you guys so much. We will see you next time on Mars. This is the first episode with the new set, so this is yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Let's test it out, bro.
Yeah,
Let's
for
get right
sure.
into it.